Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Code and Create. In today's video we're going to build a stylish, modern and fully responsive website header using React and the brand new Tailwind CSS version 4. We're going to focus on implementing a beautiful dark and light theme toggle, which includes some advanced features like remembering your theme selection using local storage and automatically matching your system's preferred theme setting. As you might know, Tailwind CSS version 4 introduced some exciting updates, and configuring dark mode is slightly different compared to previous versions. Don't worry, we'll cover everything step by step, clearly and simply, so you will have no trouble following along. Speaking of Tailwind CSS 4, is the newest version packed with fantastic features and improvements. If you're interested in exploring more about what's new, we already have several comprehensive videos here on the channel covering these new features in detail and building various practical projects. Before we dive into the project overview, if you enjoyed this content, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to ring that bell icon to stay updated on future videos. Also, feel free to leave a comment. I really appreciate hearing your thoughts and suggestions. Alright, let's quickly dive in and take a detailed look at the final project we're going to build today. First of all, we have a modern, beautifully designed website header built entirely with React and Tailwind CSS version 4. Right away you will notice the elegant and subtle background patterns we created using advanced CSS techniques combined seamlessly with Tailwind's latest features. At the top right corner we have a clean, intuitive dark and light mode toggle button. Clicking this button smoothly transitions between dark and light themes. Moving on, our header section itself is rich with interactive and visually appealing components. We've incorporated attention-grabbing badges to highlight important information or new features. Our main heading uses vibrant gradient text effects, giving the whole section a fresh look. Below the headline, we've added some interactive buttons that invite users to explore the website or access additional resources like documentation. Each button includes hover animations, making the user experience enjoyable and intuitive. At the bottom of our header, we've created a user reviews section. Here we are displaying user avatars obtained from the Random User Generator API, adding an authentic and professional touch to the design. On the right side of our hero section, we've created a stylish, modern-looking visual element replicating a realistic code editor window. This little visual detail makes the design instantly appealing, especially to developers. Inside this window, we are displaying an image of actual code which changes dynamically depending on the selected theme. When you are in light mode, you see a code snippet with a light background. Switch to dark mode and the image seamlessly updates to a version optimized for darker themes. Next up, let's talk about two visual elements, the small bouncing badges we've added to our hero section. At the bottom left side of our hero section, you will notice a neatly designed badge labeled responsive. The badge gently moves up and down, creating a smooth bouncing animation. Similarly, toward the upper right area of the section, there is another badge labeled accessible, and it also bounces gently. Of course, the entire layout is fully responsive, ensuring that the website looks excellent and functions perfectly on devices of any size, from large desktop screens to mobile phones. Alright, so since we already know what we are going to build, let's jump straight into it and start coding. Alright, first things first, let's start fresh from scratch. Right here on my desktop I have an empty folder. I'll quickly open it in VS Code. Next, let's bring up the built-in VS Code terminal by pressing Ctrl plus backtick. And now it's time to create our brand new React application. To do this, we'll use Vite, which is super fast and lightweight. Just type the following command. We need npm create Vite at latest. Then we need the name of the application, which is going to be dark light toggle, followed by dash 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 template, and finally we need React. Vite will fetch all the necessary files and set up a fresh React project for us with a minimal template. This command might prompt you for framework selection, and you should go with React and then JavaScript. So as you can see, a new folder is created with some default files and folders. Next, we need to navigate into our newly created project folder with city, dark, light, toggle. We are now inside our project directory, and now let's add the Tailwind CSS4 to our project. For that, we have to run npm install Tailwind CSS followed by add Tailwind CSS /vid. So this command will install the latest version of Tailwind CSS and the official vid plugin, making integration smooth and easy. Once the installation finishes, you will see the newly added dependencies in the project. Alright, next we need to configure Tailwind CSS, and remember, in Tailwind CSS version 4, things have gotten even simpler. We no longer need the Tailwind config file at all. Instead, we'll configure Tailwind directly inside our vid.config file. So here, I'm going to add import Tailwind CSS from, we need here add Tailwind CSS /vid. And then down below, we have to pass here Tailwind CSS next to React. Next, we have to configure our CSS file. I'm going to open index.css file. Let's clear it out and insert here add import Tailwind CSS. Previously, we had directives like Tailwind base, components, and utilities. However, Tailwind CSS version 4 has simplified things significantly. Now we just need this single import line to include everything. Alright, now I'm going to clean up unnecessary files and folders. First, go to the public folder and remove this SVG icon. Next, I'm going to get rid of assets folder. Also, we don't need app.css file. Next, I'm going to open up app.jsx file and remove this entire code from here. And I'm going to create a new React functional component. For that, I'm going to use shortcut RAFCE. So as you can see, a new React functional component is created. This awesome shortcut comes from the popular extension called ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native Snippet. So I recommend to install this extension and use this shortcut to create new React functional components. Alright, next let's build a hero component. Inside the src folder, I'm going to create new folder. Let's call it components. And here I'm going to create new file. It's going to be hero.jsx. Let's create a new React functional component using again RAFCE shortcut. Then open up the JSX file. Actually, let's close those two files. I'm going to import hero from components hero, and then I'm going to nest it here. We need hero. Okay, finally, let's run the project in our browser to see what we've got so far. I'm going to run the following command, npm run dev. So here, vid starts a development server, and it provides a local URL. We need to press Alt and then click this URL. So as you can see, our project is up and running in the browser. At this point, you should see a minimal, clean application with your newly created hero component displayed. To make things comfortable, I'll place my browser and the editor side by side, like so. It will make switching between the editor and the browser a bit easier. Alright, so our React and Tailwind CSS4 project environment is ready, and we can actually start building the application. Let's move on and set up our HTML file properly. I'm going to remove this SVG fab icon, and also I'm going to change the title. I'm going to insert here dark light mode. Now to make our project look sleek and professional, I'll be using two external resources throughout this video. The first one is Box Icons, an excellent and easy to use icon library, and also Google Fonts, specifically a nice and clean font called Prompt. Let's quickly set this up. First, we'll integrate Box Icons. Head over to the official Box Icons website. I'm going to search for Box Icons. So this is the official website of the box icons library. You can see here lots of different icons. In order to use this library, I'm going to click usage. Then we need import the CSS, and we have to grab this CDN link. Let's paste it in the head element in our HTML document. Next, we have to take care of the Google Fonts. Let's go ahead and visit the Google Fonts website. Search for Google Fonts. I'm going to visit the website and search for font called prompts. So here we have it. Let's click it. Then we need get font, get embed code, copy the code from here, and like the box icon CDN link, I'm going to paste the links here. Alright, now to ensure this font applies globally to our entire project, I'm going to open index.css file. Then I'm going to select every element using an asterisk. And I'm going to set font family to prompts sans serif. Let's check the browser. So as you can see, the font of this text is changed and everything works properly. Alright, it's time to jump into creating our dark and light mode toggle functionality. This will be a key feature of our project, and we're going to set it up step by step to make sure everything is clear and easy to follow. First, we'll create the basic functionality for toggling between dark and light modes using React State. Once we've got that working smoothly, we'll move on to building and customizing our hero section. After we finish setting up and polishing our hero component, we'll return to enhance our dark and light mode toggle even further. Specifically, we'll implement functionality to remember the user's theme choice using block storage, making sure the chosen theme persists even when the user refreshes or leaves and returns to the site. And finally, we'll also add a neat feature that automatically matches our site's theme with the user's system preference. So if the user hasn't manually selected a theme yet, our website will intelligently detect whether their operating system prefers dark or light mode and adjust accordingly. So let's head over to the app.jsx file. I'm going to close those files and create a simple toggle button for switching themes. First of all, I'm going to add some classes to the wrapper development. I'm going to add here minimum height screen. It means that we set minimum height to 100 viewport height. Next, I'm going to add here PG neutral 100. And also let's set position to relative. Now inside this development, right before the hero component, I'm going to open button. Let's add to the button some classes. We need position fixed. Then I'm going to set to position to 3 for smaller screens. For larger screens, I mean for LG breakpoint, I'm going to set top to 4. Then we need right position is going to be 3 for smaller screens, and then LG breakpoint, right position is going to be 4. Next, I'm going to define the size of the button. We need width equal to, let's say, 9. As for the height, it's going to be 9 as well. Then we need LG breakpoints. The width is going to be 10. And then we have to define height. It's going to be 10 as well. Next, we need the flex layout. Let's add here flex, followed by justify center. Then we need items center. Also, I'm going to make the element fully rounded using rounded full. Then we need to change the background color. It's going to be amber 500. Then let's set text to neutral 950. Also, I'm going to add here a shadow. It's going to be LG. Then we need hover effects. On hover, I'm going to change the background. It's going to be amber 600. And finally, let's use transition colors. The content of the button is going to be elements from the box icons. Let's add here classes. We need BX moon. Then we need text LG for smaller screens, and after LG breakpoint, we need text to be XL. Alright, let's go to the browser. As you can see, we've placed here a neat button fixed at the top right corner, and we used one of the box icons, BX moon, to represent the light theme for now. Alright, next let's dive deeper and actually make our dark and light toggle button functional. To achieve this, we need a way to track the current theme, dark or light, in our React application. First things first, we need to create a state variable, and for this we'll use React's hook called useState. At the top, I'm going to import useState from React, and then I'm going to create new state variable. It's going to be dark mode. Then we need set dark mode and use state hook with the value false. So this state will keep track of whether dark mode is active or not. Initially, we're setting it to false, which means by default the application will start in light mode. Next, we need a function to toggle this state. Basically, whenever the user clicks the button, we want to switch from dark to light or from light to dark. So let's go ahead and create a new function. I'm going to call it toggle dark mode. Well, here we have the suggestion. Let's use it. Inside here, I'm going to set dark mode to not dark mode. Let's use this suggestion. For now, I'm going to get rid of this code. Okay, so this function simply flips the current value of dark mode. If dark mode is currently set to false, which means light mode, clicking the button sets it to true, which is dark mode, and vice versa. Now we've got our state and toggle function set up, but the page won't actually change visually yet. To make our theme toggle truly interactive, we need to apply or remove a specific CSS class called dark from the root HTML element. To handle this correctly, we'll use another built-in React hook useEffect. Let's first update our import to include this hook. We need useEffect. Then I'm going to create useEffect hook. Let's use this suggestion and remove dark mode for now. So the reason we need useEffect here is because it lets us perform side effects, actions that happen outside our component's immediate logic, such as directly updating the DOM when the component's state changes. Next, we need to use an if statement inside the useEffect hook. So we need if statement where we check if dark mode is true or false. So if this condition is true, then we need this code here. It means that we add class dark to the root HTML element. And if dark mode is false, then we need else statement where we have to remove class dark from the root HTML element. And finally, I'm going to specify dark mode in the dependency array. It means that the useEffect hook will run only when the state variable dark mode changes. Otherwise, it won't run. Alright, so now that we've set everything up logically, we need to connect this functionality to our button. For this, we will use a simple onClick event handler on our toggle button. So here I'm going to add onClick event handler, and on click we have to call toggle dark mode function. So every time the button is clicked, our toggle dark mode function runs, changing the theme state and ultimately updating our website's appearance accordingly. Now, we still need to fully implement our dark theme styles. Let's quickly update our wrapper div element styles. I'm going to add here dark class. And on dark mode, we have to change background to neutral 950. Let's jump into the browser and see what's happening. Currently, you should see that the background color immediately turned dark because we've manually added the dark class to our HTML element through state. However, when we try clicking the toggle button, it doesn't seem to switch between themes yet. This is expected at this point. The issue is that we haven't yet configured Tailwind CSS to recognize our dark mode class. In Tailwind CSS version 4, we handle this differently than before. Let's quickly fix this by updating our CSS file. So here we need to pass the following code. We need add custom variant followed by dark. Then we need ampersand followed by where. And inside here I'm going to pass dot dark, then dot dark with the star. Make sure that you have the space here. Now let's go back to the browser. So as you can see, now everything works fine, and we have here dark and light modes by clicking this icon here. So what this line does is tell Tailwind CSS explicitly that whenever we add the class dark anywhere on our page, all the Tailwind utility classes that begin with dark should activate accordingly. Alright, to make the transition smoother, let's add to the developments in the app.js file class transition colors, and then we need duration 300. So now the transition effect is smoother and we have much better result here. Now let's go ahead and enhance the user experience by making our theme toggle button more intuitive. Right now, our button always shows a moon icon, which typically indicates dark mode. It would be more logical and user-friendly if the icon switched dynamically, displaying a sun when dark mode is active and a moon when it's inactive. So to do this, let's slightly modify our button icons JSX code. So here I'm going to cut these classes. Then I'm going to add here curly braces with backticks. Let's paste back the classes. So here I'm going to get rid of moon. Then we need here dash, $sign, then curly braces. I'm going to insert here a conditional statement. We need dark mode. If this is true, then the class name is going to be sun. And if it is false, then the class name will be moon. So we are using here a JavaScript template literal to dynamically choose between two icon class names, sun or moon. Again, if dark mode is currently true, meaning dark mode is active, the button displays the sun icon. This indicates to the user that clicking it will switch back to light mode. Then if dark mode is false, the button shows the moon icon, signaling that clicking will activate dark mode. Let's go to the browser. So as you can see, we are on dark mode and the icon is sun. If we click it, then the icon will switch to the moon. Alright, with our button working perfectly, it's finally time to start adding some exciting content to our hero section. First, let's create an eye-catching background grid pattern, which is shown on the light mode. I mean those dots and lines. Let's go to the VS Code. I'm going to modify the code here in the app.js file. Right after wrapper development, I'm going to open another div with the classes absolute. Then we need inset 0, which means that we set all four position properties like top, right, bottom, and left to 0. Then we need -z 10. Now, I'm going to talk about two important points regarding this wrapper. First, you notice that we use here -z 10. By applying a negative z index, we are ensuring this background stays behind all our other elements. It essentially pushes our decorative background further into the background layer. Second, we'll also need to add the isolate class to our main wrapper div. I mean these elements, we need isolate. The isolate class creates a new stacking context in Tailwind CSS, ensuring no other external elements interfere or break our z-index layering. It basically isolates our wrapper, keeping all child elements neatly contained and stacked appropriately. Let's now add two beautiful background patterns. So inside the div elements, I'm going to open another div with the classes absolute. Then we need inset 0, followed by opacity 30, and then we need dark class hidden. So on dark mode, we hide those patterns. Alright, now we have to use the style attribute here instead of pure Tailwind classes because we are creating a complex pattern that isn't achievable using standard Tailwind utilities alone. So let's add here style attributes, and we have to pass here background image. Then we need linear gradient the direction of color transition is going to be to right. Actually, this is the pure CSS code. Now I'm going to specify the color, and it's going to be RGBA value. The color is going to be black. We need zeros. And then we need opacity 0.05. After that, I'm going to add here 1 pixel. Then transparent. It is the second color. Then again, we need 1 pixel. Now I'm going to add here second linear gradient with the direction to bottom. Then we need RGBA. Again, the same color, so I'm going to grab these values and paste it here. Then I'm going to add here 1 pixel, followed by transparent, 1 pixel. Alright, so hopefully everything's correct. Let's check once again. We have linear gradient. The direction is to right, followed by RGBA value. We have here a black color with lower opacity 0.05, 1 pixel, transparent 1 pixel. Then we have second linear gradient. The direction is to bottom, RGBA black color with the same opacity, 1 pixel, transparent 1 pixel. So I think everything's correct. Next we need to use the second property, which is background size. And we have to set background size to 40 pixels and then again 40 pixels. Okay, so this CSS creates 2 linear gradients, one running vertically and the other horizontally, to form a subtle grid pattern. Each gradient line is just 1 pixel wide, giving us thin, neat grid lines. The lines have a very slight opacity, 0.05, making the pattern gentle on the eyes. Next we have background size, which is set at 40 pixels by 40 pixels, creating uniform spacing between the grid lines, giving our design an organized and polished look. Now let's go to the browser and switch to the light mode. Now the pattern is barely visible, but if you look at the background closely, you will notice those lines, horizontal and vertical lines. Alright, next we will add another subtle decorative element, a dotted pattern. Let's go back to the VS Code. And actually I'm going to duplicate this element. So here we need absolute, insert 0, then get rid of opacity. We don't need it. We need here dark hidden. So in case of this element, we need background image. And let's get rid of this code from here. Instead of linear gradient, we need radial gradient. And here I'm going to pass RGBA. We need 0, 0, 0. Then the opacity is going to be 0.1. Let's close the parenthesis. Next we need 1 pixel. Transparent. 1 pixel. And then we need background size, which is going to be equal to 20 pixels. I mean 20 pixels twice. So we are using another CSS gradient, but this time a radial gradient to create dots instead of lines. Each dot has just 1 pixel of visible area surrounded by transparency. We set this pattern at 20 pixels by 20 pixels, spacing our dots closely together, complementing our wider grid lines beautifully. Now if we go to the browser, you should see a stylish, modern and subtle background pattern, thin grid lines and delicate dots, perfectly enhancing our hero section. Alright, let's go back to the VS Code and open up hero.js file. I'm going to start adding some content here. We're going to create a beautiful subtle background element first. I mean this yellow background elements. So let's go back to the VS Code, get rid of this text from here. Inside the div elements, I'm going to open another div with the classes absolute. Then we need again insert 0, followed by -z10. We are using the same approach here. We need here class isolate. Then inside the div elements, I'm going to open another div with the classes absolute. Then we need top position, it's going to be 0. Then we need a negative left position, we need minus left. It means that we set left position to minus 25%. Next, I'm going to define the width and height. The width is going to be 50%. And then we need height, which is going to be 50% as well. After that, I'm going to define the background. We need here amber 400. Then dark mode. On dark mode, we need amber 500. And then I'm going to make the element rounded full, followed by the blur effect. Let's set blur to 3XL. And finally, I'm going to set opacity to 20. Now let's quickly head over to the browser and see how it looks. You will immediately see a gentle, pleasing yellow glow in the top left corner of your hero section. However, you might notice that we suddenly can't click the toggle button anymore. The button is now unresponsive. Let's fix this quickly. The reason is that our newly added background div now overlaps the toggle button invisibly. To resolve this, simply go to your toggle button in app.jsx file and add a higher z-index property. So here we have button, and I'm going to add here z, let's say 10. Let's go back to the browser. So now we are able to click and switch between light and dark modes. Alright, next up, let's move on to creating some nice informational badges for our hero section. I mean those two badges with the text new and next generation design system. Let's create those two badges. Let's go back to the VS Code, open up hero.jsx file. Right after this div element, I'm going to open another div, and let's add here class container. So the Tailwind CSS container class is a very useful utility. It centers your content horizontally on the page, provides consistent horizontal padding, and ensures that the content never stretches beyond a comfortable maximum width. This makes your page look clean, professional, and responsive across all devices. Next we need MX Auto, followed by PX 6, then we need PY 20. It is for smaller screens. Now let's define empty breakpoint, and PY is going to be 24. Then for LG breakpoint, I'm going to set padding, vertical padding to 28. And finally, we need XL breakpoint. Padding Y is going to be 32. After that, I'm going to open another div element. Let's add to it some classes. So in this part, we will need a couple of different divs. Let's add here flex. Then we need flex column. We have to change the direction of the flex layout. Then we need flex column for smaller screens. And then we need LG breakpoint. On larger screens, we need flex row. The horizontal layout of the flex items. Next, I'm going to set items center, followed by the gap 8. Then we need LG breakpoint. Gap is going to be 12 for larger screens. Then we need XL breakpoint. For extra large screen sizes, we need gap equal to 16. Inside the div element, I'm going to open another one. Let's add here class names. So for this development, we need flex1. Then we need space y6. We need space vertically between the flex items. Actually, this is for smaller screens. Then we need LG breakpoint. For larger screens, I'm going to set space y to 7. Alright, that's it about this div element. Next, we need another div. Let's add here some classes. I'm going to set space y to 4 for smaller screens, and then we need LG breakpoint, space y, and it's going to be 5. Okay, so now I'm going to add one more div element with the classes flex, and then we need items center. Okay, so I hope that we have all developments in place, and now I'm going to use here span elements with the classes inline flex, Then I'm going to set items to center. I'm going to use px, padding, horizontal padding equal to 2. Then we need padding y, the vertical padding, it's going to be 0.5. Then I'm going to make the element rounded using rounded full class. Then the text is going to be XS, the text size. Then we need font medium. Also, I'm going to change the background color. In this case, let's use color called indigo. And we need here 900. Then the color of the text is going to be amber, 400. And finally, I'm going to set margin on the right side equal to 2. As the content of the span element, we need new. Alright, so hopefully everything's correct. Let's go to the browser. As you can see, we have here nice and cool little badge with the text new. Alright, next I'm going to create the second badge, this one. Let's go back to the VS Code. So right after span element, I'm going to open h2 heading elements. Let's add here a class name. We need inline block. Then I'm going to set px to 3. We need py 1.5. Then we need LG breakpoints, and for larger screens we need padding x equal to 4. Then again LG breakpoint, and we have to define padding y equal to 2. Next I'm going to make the element rounded using rounded full. Then we need PG neutral 900. Then the text is going to be, the color of the text is going to be amber, 400. Let's set font to medium. Then we need text equal to SM. Next I'm going to use backdrop blur SM. Next I'm going to use border. The color of the border is going to be neutral. And it's going to be 800, and the opacity 50%. Now inside here, I'm going to open elements. We need an icon. Let's use here bx trending, followed by up. Then we need margin right equal to 1. And right after element, I'm going to insert the following text. We need next generation design system. Okay, so I think that's it about the second batch. Let's go to the browser. Well, as you can see, we have here this nice and cool batch, and it looks exactly the same as we have in the finished original project. Alright, next it's time to add our main hero heading and a descriptive paragraph. This is the heart of our hero section content. This heading and this paragraph here. So let's go back to the VS Code. Right after this closing div tag, I'm going to open h1 heading element, and let's add here some classes. We need text equal to 4xl. Then I'm going to add here empty breakpoint. Actually, this is for smaller screens. Now we need kind of larger screens, and text is going to be 5xl. Then we need LG breakpoint. On that breakpoint, text is going to be 6xl. And finally, we need extra large screen sizes, XL breakpoint. Text is going to be 7xl. Then I'm going to set font to extra bold. Then I'm going to set tracking tight. Actually, we need here tracking tight. It means that we decrease the space between the letters. Then I'm going to use text neutral 900. It is for light mode. As for the dark mode, the text is going to be white. Okay, now inside here I'm going to open span elements with the classes block, followed by margin bottom 1. The content of this span element is going to be design, the first part of the heading. Then we need second span element, and I'm going to add to it some classes as well. So here we need PG, clip, text, then text transparent. So we are using those classes because we're going to create some gradient effect. we need here transparent, and then we have to use PG gradient. The direction is going to be to right, then from amber 500 via amber 400 to amber 600. The content of this panel element is going to be without limits. Now let's go to the browser. Here we go. We have here this nice and cool heading. Everything looks and works perfectly. Let's go ahead and add the paragraph. So right after h1 heading element, I'm going to use paragraph with the classes text base. Then we need LG breakpoint. Text is going to be LG for larger screens. Next, I'm going to set the color of the text to neutral 700. This is for the light mode. As for the dark mode, I'm going to set text to neutral 300. Then we need max width equal to 2XL. And lastly, I'm going to set font to light. Okay, so now we have to insert here the content of the paragraph. Actually, I have prepared the text here in my text file. I'm going to copy it and paste it here instead of writing it manually. Now let's go to the browser. So here we have this nice and cool paragraph. Alright, so the hero section now looks pretty good. The bold gradient enhanced headline immediately captures the user's eye. Next, we're going to add a subtle visual element, just a small line followed by the text transition seamlessly. So let's go back to the VS Code. Let's add this code right after paragraph. We need div elements with the classes flags. Then we need gap 3 and items center. Inside the div element, I'm going to open another div with the classes. The height of the element is going to be 1 pixel. Then I'm going to set background to neutral 300. Next, I'm going to use dark mode. On dark mode, we need background to be neutral 700. And finally, the width is going to be 12. So this development will be an empty one. Right after development, I'm going to use paragraph with the classes uppercase. Then we need text access. Then I'm going to create some space between the letters using tracking widest. Then we need the color of the text. It's going to be neutral 500. Then dark mode. The text is going to be, the color of the text is going to be neutral 400. And the font is going to be medium. The content of the paragraph will be transitioned seamlessly. Okay, let's go ahead and check the browser. Now we see a neat thin horizontal line next to our uppercase text. Now let's continue by adding 2 interactive buttons beneath our heading and a description. Those 2 buttons here. Let's go back to the VS Code. So right after this closing div element, I'm going to open another div with the classes flags. Then we need flags wrap. Then the gap is going to be 3. And we need LG breakpoint. The gap on larger screens is going to be 4. Inside the div element, I'm going to open button. With the classes, we need padding X 6. Then padding Y is going to be 3. These paddings are for smaller screen sizes. Now for larger screen sizes, we need LGPX. The horizontal padding equal to 7. Then we need LG breakpoint. The vertical padding PY is going to be 3.5. Then I'm going to make the button rounded using rounded LG. Then I'm going to change the background color. We need here neutral 900. This background color is for light mode. Let's add here hover effect. On hover, I'm going to change the background to black. Next, we need text white. Now it's time to customize the button for dark mode. On dark mode, we need background amber 500. Then we need dark hover. On hover, I'm going to set background to amber 600. Then we need dark mode for text color. So on dark mode, the text color is going to be neutral 900. The font will be medium. Then we need shadow LG. Then on hover, I'm going to change the shadow. So on hover, we need shadow neutral 900/20. It means that the shadow will have 20% opacity. Then we need dark mode, hover, and on hover, the shadow will be amber 500/20, 20% of the opacity. Then we need flex, items center. Then I'm going to use transition for hover effects. And finally, I'm going to use group. The class group will help us to create hover effects with the child elements of this button. So inside here, I'm going to add elements with the classes bx, then bx code, alt. Then we need margin right equal to 2. This is for smaller screens. Then we need LG breakpoint. Margin right is going to be 3. Then I'm going to set text to LG for smaller screens. On LG breakpoint, we need text XL. Then we need group, followed by hover. On hover, I'm going to rotate slightly the elements. We need here rotate 12. And then transition, transform. Right after element, I'm going to open span with the, actually we don't need here classes. Let's add here start coding. Okay, that's it about the first button. Hopefully everything's correct here. Let's go to the browser and yeah, we have here nice and cool button with this pretty nice hover effects. Okay. Now let's take care of the second button. So I'm going to duplicate this button here. I know that those buttons are kind of different, but anyways, I prefer to duplicate it and change the classes. So for second button, we need px6, then py3, LG breakpoint, px7, then LG breakpoint py 3.5. Rounded LG, then we need BG neutral 100. Then on hover, we need BG neutral 800. So we need here neutral 800. Then the text is going to be neutral 900. Then on dark mode, we need text white. Let's get rid of this class from here. Actually, I forgot to check this button on light mode. Let's switch to the light mode so everything looks good. Okay, let's go back and continue customizing the second button. Okay, so next we have dark mode, background amber 500. Actually, we don't need here hover. Let's change it into dark and get rid of those classes. On hover, we need BG neutral 200. And then on dark mode, we need hover background, and it's going to be neutral 700. Okay, next we have font medium. Then I'm going to get rid of those shadows we don't need for the second button. Then we have flex, item center, transition, and group. Okay, so hopefully everything's correct here. We have so many classes that we might have a mistake. Well, we will see that. let's take care of the I elements. So in case of the second button, we need bx book open, then margin right 2, then LG breakpoint, margin right 3. Next we have text LG followed by the LG breakpoint, text XL. Those are correct. Then I'm going to add here opacity 70. Next we have group hover, and in this case we don't need hover, rotate. Instead of that, I'm going to add here opacity 100. Then transition is going to be opacity and not the transform. Okay, I think that's it about the I elements. Next we have span, and instead of start coding, I'm going to add here documentation. Actually, we need documentation. All right, so hopefully everything's correct. Let's go to the browser. So we have here the second button. Let's check the light modes. Well, let's compare to the original project. We are missing the border for the second button. Let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to add here border. So we need border followed by border neutral 300, and on dark mode we need border neutral 700. Let's check the first button. Actually, we don't need here borders. Well, we are missing here S. We need item center. Okay, let's go ahead and check the results. Well, we need to center the icon of the second button. Actually, we need here items center as well. Now, hopefully, we have here the exact same buttons on both projects. All right, so that's it. We have two clearly labeled buttons, start coding and documentation. They are nicely styled with smooth transitions and hover effects, making them feel interactive and approachable. Next, let's enhance our hero section by adding user images with review details. I mean, this part here. So for this, we're going to use an external service called Random User Generator. Let's quickly visit the website. Let's search for Random User Generator. I mean this website here. This handy API lets us generate random user data, including realistic profile images. As you can see, we have here some URLs for images. In this case, we have men, but we can use these images for women as well. So we will use direct links to user images from this API in our project. Now let's go back to the VS Code. Right after this closing div elements, I'm going to open another div. Let's add here class name. We need flex. Next, we need flex column for extra small screen sizes. Then we need SM breakpoint. After SM breakpoint, the layout is going to be horizontal using flex row. Then we need gap 5. Then we need SM breakpoint and items center. Then padding top is going to be 6. As for the LG breakpoint, padding top will be 7. Then I'm going to use border top. The color of the border is going to be neutral 200. And now we have to define border on the dark mode. On dark mode, border is going to be, the color of the border is going to be neutral 800. Now inside this development, I'm going to open another div. And I'm going to add here some classes. We need flex and then negative space x3. Inside here, we need image. The source is going to be the link from here. I'm going to copy this URL, paste it here. So instead of 75, I'm going to use 21. And instead of men, let's use here women. Then we have alt attributes. I'm going to add here user. And besides that, we need here classes. So we need width 9, then height 9. Then we need LG breakpoint. Width is going to be 10. Then again, LG breakpoint. Height is going to be 10. We need the images to be rounded using rounded full. Next, I'm going to use border. The size is going to be 2. Then we need the color of the border. And I'm going to make the white on light mode. As for the dark mode, we need border neutral 900. And finally, let's use object cover. Okay, let's check if the URL works fine. Let's go to the project. As you can see, we have here, nice and cool, user image, which is fully rounded. Next, I'm going to create other images as well. I'm going to duplicate this element twice. Let's change the URL for second image. In this case, I'm going to use man. Let's say 12. As for the third image, it's going to be again women and 24. Let's go to the browser. We see 3 stacked profile images that overlap slightly, giving us a nice professional look. Each profile image feels authentic and realistic thanks to the Random User Generator API. Let's close this website. To emphasize community trust and popularity, we'll add one more circle showing how many additional users trust our product. I mean this circle here. Let's go back to the VS Code. Right after this image element, I'm going to open a span. And I'm going to add here classes. We need flex, followed by item center. Then we need justify center. Next, I'm going to define the width of the span elements. And actually, I think we need similar styles. So let's use those classes, add them here. And also, I'm going to add here text access, followed by font medium. The content of this span element is going to be plus 5k. Let's go to the browser. Well, something's wrong here. We need to add the background color. So let's add here BG neutral 900. As for the dark mode, we need here background amber 500. And also we have to make text white. As for the dark mode, we need text neutral 900. Well, now I think that everything's correct. Let's go to the browser. So here we go. We have here nice and cool span elements indicating more than 5,000 users. So we have the same results in both cases. Alright, so finally we have to complete our user review section by adding a star rating and a short testimonial. Let's go back to the VS Code, and right after these developments, I'm going to open another div with the classes space y1. Inside here, we need another div elements with the classes flex, item center. Actually, we need here items center. And inside here, I'm going to use the star icons. So I'm going to open i-element with the classes bx, bxs, star. Then we need text amber 500 and margin right 1. We need, overall, we need 5 stars. So let's duplicate these elements 4 times. The last star will be different because we need here half star. Let's add here half. And then go to the browser. So as you can see, we have here 5 stars. Next, we have to add here the span elements to specify the rating. Let's go back to the VS Code, and right after iElements, I'm going to open span elements with the classes text neutral 600. Then we need dark mode. Text is going to be neutral 400. Then the size of the text is going to be SM. And finally, we need margin left equal to 1. As for the content, I'm going to insert here 4.8/5. Let's go to the browser. So here we have the rating 4.8 from 5. Okay, next we have to add this text here. So let's go back to the VS Code, and after these div elements, I'm going to open paragraph with the class name text neutral 600, then dark text neutral 400. The size of the text is going to be SM. As the content, I'm going to insert here trusted by, and here we need span elements with the classes font bold text neutral 900. As for the dark mode, we need here text white. As for the content of the span element, we need 5000. Let's add here comma and then plus. After span elements, I'm going to add developers worldwide. All right, let's go back to the browser. Well, we need here text white. So that's it about the users and the testimonials. This section looks good on both modes, dark and light. Next, we need to create the screen on the right side of the section, which displays the editor with some code snippets. I mean this part here. So let's go back to the VS Code. So right after this development, I'm going to open another div with the classes. We need here flex 1, followed by width full, which is 100%. Inside the development, I'm going to open another div with the class name relative. We need position relative. Then inside here, we need another div. Let's add to its classes. We need relative. Then background is going to be white for light mode. Then we need dark mode. Background is going to be neutral 900. Then we need padding 4 for smaller screens. As for the larger screens, I mean LG breakpoint, the padding is going to be 5. Then we need Excel breakpoint, and the padding is going to be 6. Next, I'm going to make the element rounded using rounded class with the value 2XL. Then we need shadow 2XL. Next, I'm going to add here border. Then the color of the border is going to be neutral 200. Then we need dark mode. On dark mode, we need border neutral 800. All right, that's it about this element. Let's check the browser. Well, something's wrong here. Let's check the code. Actually, I'm going to cut this code because we have to place it not after this div, this closing div, but after this one. Now I hope the problem will be fixed. Let's go to the browser, and yes, now the element is aligned and positioned correctly. Let's go back to the VS Code. Inside the div element, I'm going to open another div with the class name flex. Then we need items center. Then we need justify center. Actually not center, but between. After that, I'm going to set margin bottom to 3, and we need LG breakpoint margin bottom 4. Inside this div element, we need another one with the classes flex, items center, and then gap 2. All right, so now inside this div element, I'm going to create the 3 circles. I mean those 3 circles. So let's do it using span elements. We need here span with the class width equal to 2.5. Then we need height equal to 2.5 as well. Then we need algebraic points where width is going to be 3. As for the height, actually we need here algebraic points, and then height is going to be 3 as well. We need to round it full. And then we have to define the background color. It's going to be red 500. Let's duplicate this element twice and change the colors. So for the second span element, we need background amber 500. As for the third span element, we need here background green 500. All right, let's go to the browser. So as you can see, we have here 3 circles like we have it in the original project. Let's go ahead and continue. Right after this closing div elements, I'm going to open another div with the classes. We need here text access. Then the color of the text is going to be neutral 500. Then we need dark mode. Text is going to be neutral 400. And I'm going to add here dark mode.jsx. Let's go to the browser. So here we have this file name. Actually, it looks similar to the original project. Okay, let's go ahead and continue working on that section. So right after this closing div tag, I'm going to open another div. And actually we are working right now on the screen. I mean this part here where we see this code. Let's go back to the VS Code and add to that div element some classes. We need here height equal to 56. Then empty breakpoints, height is going to be 64. Then we need algebraic point, height is going to be 60. As for the Excel breakpoints, we need height 72. Then we need rounded LG. Also, we need to change the background color. It's going to be neutral 100. Then we need dark mode neutral. Actually, we need background neutral 800. Also, I'm going to use overflow hidden. And we need position route. Let's go to the browser. So as you can see, we have here nice and cool screen. Actually, those codes are the images. I mean both modes, light and dark, these are the images. Right now, we don't have here any images, but I have prepared the images folder, which I'm going to drag and drop inside the public folder. So as you can see, we have here images folder with 2 images, code dark and code light. As you can see, we have both images prepared. Okay, so right after, actually not after, but inside the div elements, I'm going to insert image element. This source is going to be images, code light.png. Then the alt attribute is going to be code snippets for light mode. Then I'm going to add here class name. So we need width full, followed by the height full. We set both properties to 100%. Then we need object cover. Also, I'm going to use object left top. As for the dark mode, this image will be hidden. Now let's go ahead and duplicate this code. We need here dark, actually not here, but here. We need code dark. Then we need here dark modes. And I'm going to change here this class. Instead of hidden, we need block. Okay, I think that's it about the images. So as you can see, well, this is an original project. Well, now we have here the code snippet. I mean the images for both light and dark modes. Everything works pretty well. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is to take care of this element here, which is animating. We have here dark light icon. So I'm going to create this element. So here, right after image element, I'm going to open div with the classes absolute. And then we need bottom position is going to be 4. As for the right position, we need 4 as well. Inside the div element, we need another div with the classes width 12. Then we need height 12. These are for smaller screens. Then we need LG breakpoint. The width is going to be 14. Then the height on LG breakpoints is going to be 14 as well. We need to make the element rounded using rounded full. Then we need background gradient. The direction is going to be to right. Then we need from amber 500. Actually, we are missing here dash. From amber 500 to indigo. Well, still missing the dash. 900. Then we need flex items center followed by justify center. We have to center the icon inside the circle. Then we need text white. And also I'm going to use shadow LG. And lastly, we need to add animation. And I'm going to use Tailwind animations, which are integrated, built in 4th version already. So I'm going to add here animate pulse. Let's go to the browser. So we have here circle, which is animating. We have nice and cool background, gradient in fact. And we have to insert here in the center of the circle, the icon. This icon. So let's go back to the VS Code and right inside the div elements, I'm going to open I elements with the classes bx brightness half, followed by text XL. Then we need LG breakpoint, text to XL, and actually that's it. Let's go to the browser. So here we have the icon in the center, and actually with this element we are done. Next, I'm going to take care of the bottom part of the screen. Those 3 elements, we have to create them as well. Let's go back to the VS Code. So right after these developments, I'm going to open another div. Well, we have so many div elements, and actually it's kind of monotonic, but that's the way how it works. So we need here class name, margin top 3, then LG breakpoint, margin top 4. Next, we need flex layout with justify between and items center. Inside here, I'm going to open another div element. Let's add here flex followed by gap 2. And here we need to create span elements. Let's add to the span elements some classes. We need px 2.5, then py. It's going to be 1. Then we need LG breakpoint. Px is going to be 3. Then I'm going to make the element rounded using rounded full. Next we need background. It's going to be neutral. 900. Then text is going to be amber. 400. Then we need text XS followed by font medium. Next I'm going to add here flex followed by items center. Alright, so inside the span element, we have to insert I elements, and it's going to be bxl, Tailwind, CSS, margin right 1, and then we need text Tailwind, version 4. Okay, let's go to the browser. So we have here the icon of the Tailwind and then the text Tailwind version 4. Next, we have to take care of the React icon and text. So I'm going to duplicate this code. We have to change the colors. So in case of the React icon, we need background neutral 100. Then we need dark background neutral 800. Then text is going to be indigo with 900. Then we need dark mode. Text is going to be indigo 400. Then we need border, followed by border neutral 200. And then dark mode, border neutral 700. All other classes will remain the same. Actually, we have to change the logo, the icon of the React. So we need here bx, bxl, React, and then change the text, add here React. All right, so that's it about the React. Let's go to the browser. Here we have React logo and the text. Let's check them on light mode and compare it to the original project. So everything seems to be correct. Well, we need this shadow. That's why we have here the difference between those two projects. Okay, let's take care of the third icon, which is this copy icon. I'm going to go back to the VS Code. Right after this closing div tag, we need to open button with the classes. We need width 8, followed by height 8. Then we need LG breakpoint, width is going to be 9. Then again, LG breakpoint, height is going to be 9. Next, we need XL breakpoint, width is going to be 10. Then let's set height to 10. Next, we need flex layout with items, center, and justify center. Then we need to make the element rounded using rounded full, followed by background amber 500. Then we need text neutral 900, followed by the hover. We need here background amber 600. And then transition for smoother effects. Inside the button, I'm going to insert I element with the classes. We need bx copy. And the size of the text is going to be SM. Okay, let's go to the browser. And actually, that's it. With these 3 elements, we are done. Next, we need to create this nice and cool shadow effect that is placed behind the screen. So let's go back to the VS Code. So we need to scroll up and find those wrappers. So inside the div elements, which has class relative, I'm going to open another div with the classes absolute. Then we need minus inset equal to 0.5. It means that we set 4 properties, top, right, bottom, and left, all 4 properties to 0.5, actually to minus 0.5. Then we need background gradient with the direction to right. Then we need the first color from amber 500 to indigo 900. Then we need rounded XL to XL, followed by blur XL. Then we need to decrease the opacity. Let's make it 50%. And also I'm going to add the animation, animate pulse. Okay, so I think everything's correct. Let's go to the browser. And here we go. We have here this nice and cool animated shadow. Well, something's wrong here because actually the difference between those 2 projects is the font size of this text. In the original project, we have kind of smaller text. So let's go ahead and find this element. So here we have it. This paragraph. Well, as you can see, we have here typo. We need text SM. Now we have here the exact same results in both projects. Alright, so now it's time to create those two bouncing badges because all other elements are created. Let's go back to the VS Code. I'm going to create new development right before this closing div tag. I'm going to add here developments with the classes hidden. Then we need empty block. So on smaller screens, those bouncing elements will be hidden. As for the larger screens, they will be visible. Next, we need absolute position. Then bottom position is going to be 8. Then we need left position, it's going to be 8 as well. Then we need LG breakpoint, and bottom position is going to be 10. As for the left position, it's going to be 10. And finally, we need animate bounce. Inside here, I'm going to open another div element with the class name bg neutral 900, followed by text white. Then we need px 2.5, py 1.5. Then I'm going to add here rounded LG. The size of the text is going to be SM, actually not SM but XS. Then we need LG breakpoint, and the size of the text is going to be SM. Next, I'm going to add here flex, followed by item center. And finally, we need shadow LG. Now, inside this development, I'm going to open iElements with the classes. We need here bx, bx, check, circle. Let's get rid of this 0. Then we need margin right equal to 1. Text is going to be amber 500. And right after iElement, I'm going to add responsive. Okay, let's go to the browser and switch the project. So we have here this nice and cool bouncing text. And it looks good on light mode as well. All right, let's take care of the second bouncing text. And actually, I'm going to duplicate this code. So in case of the second bouncing elements, we need to change the position. We need absolute position. Then instead of bottom position, I'm going to use top with the value 16. Then on LG breakpoint, top position is going to be 20. As for the left position, I'm going to get rid of it. We need the right position equal to 15%. It's going to be the arbitrary value. As for the LG breakpoint, right position is going to be 20%. Then we need, actually, let's get rid of this left position. We need the same animation, animate bounce, followed by delay 300. Next we have these developments, and actually we don't need to change here anything. The only thing that we have to change is the text here. We need accessible. Let's go to the browser. So here we go. Both bouncing badges look pretty nice and work seamlessly. Alright, so we've done a great job so far. We successfully built out our hero section. Everything looks clean and professional, and the overall design is really coming together. Let's check if the project is responsive. I'm going to shrink the window. So, as you can see, it looks pretty good. And actually it is responsive. On smaller screen sizes, the layout is changed. We have the vertical direction, and actually it looks pretty nice and great. Alright, so there is still one important feature we need to add. Currently, when we reload or refresh the page, the selected theme, whether dark or light, is reset, and we lose our preference. To fix this, we're going to implement local storage functionality. This way, the website will remember your selected theme even after you refresh or revisit the page, providing a much better user experience. Now let's briefly talk about local storage and why we need it here. Local storage is a built-in feature of modern web browsers that allows websites to store small amounts of data right on your device. Think of it as a small, persistent storage area that your browser provides, letting websites remember information even after you close the tab or refresh the page. You can easily check what's stored in local storage by opening the developer tools, and by going to application, you can find here local storage, and here will be stored key value pairs. Okay, now let's go ahead and implement this in our project. Open the app.jsx file, and inside the userFact hook, right after adding the dark class, let's save the user's preference in local storage like this. We need local storage dot set item. Then inside here we need theme and dark. This single line of code clearly says when the user activates dark mode, store the value dark under the key theme in local storage. Later, whenever the app loads, we can easily retrieve this information. Next, after removing the dark class, we will update the stored value as well. So we have to add here local storage dot set item theme and light. So let's use this suggestion. Again, very straightforward. When we switch back to light mode, we are simply updating the stored preference in local storage to the value light. Now we need to make sure our state variable reads this saved preference when our application loads. For this, we will modify the default value of our state variable slightly. We need a function here instead of a simple true or false, because we must check local storage first before deciding on our initial state. So here is how we will do it. I'm going to get rid of this value from here. Then we need a callback function. And inside here, I'm going to create a variable which is going to be saved theme. Actually, let's use this code. And after that, we have to return saved theme equal to dark. Okay, so let's break this down clearly. First, we use a function to initialize our state because we want this check to run only once at the initial render for better performance. Inside this function, we retrieve the value stored in local storage under the key theme. If the saved theme is dark, our state starts as true. Otherwise, it defaults to false. Let's test this in the browser now. I'm going to refresh the page. Then switch between the dark and light modes. And again, refresh the page. Well, as you can see, we have here dark mode even after refreshing the page. Let's go to the developer tools and open application. So as you can see, we have here theme dark. Let's change dark into light. Now we have here theme light. So as you can see, everything works perfectly. Great. Now let's take our project one step further by intelligently detecting the user's system theme preference. Basically, many modern operating systems like Windows, macOS, or mobile operating systems allow users to select a global preference, dark or light mode, that websites can detect automatically. Now let's go ahead and modify our code again slightly to incorporate this feature. So inside this function, I'm going to create if statement where we have to check if saved theme is true or false. If it is true, then we have to return this code here. And if it is false, then we need else statement where we have to return the following. We need window dot, actually the compiler suggests the correct code. Let's go ahead and use it. So let me explain what's going on here. First, we check if there is a user preference already saved in local storage. If yes, we respect this choice. If there is no saved preference, meaning the user hasn't yet selected a theme, we instead check the system level preference. We use the JavaScript media query window.matchMedia with this value here and with this property, and it checks the user's operating system settings. If the user's operating system is set to dark mode, we activate dark mode, and otherwise the app stays in light mode. Again, let's test this in the browser. If you clear the local storage and refresh your page, your application now automatically respects your system theme preference. If I check my settings and go to personalization and select colors, you will see here that I have selected dark as the default theme. Alright, so that's it. We've come to the end. Let's quickly go ahead and recap what we have accomplished. We built a clean, responsive hero section using React and Tailwind CSS 4. We added a fully functional dark and light mode toggle. We improved the user experience significantly by storing the user's theme preference in local storage. And finally, we even integrated automatic detection of the user's system-level theme preference. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new today. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated. Also, I'd really appreciate your comments below. Let me know your thoughts or if there is something else you'd like to see in the future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.